everyone. So in this video I want to talk about the type of fears that kind of just pop into your mind all of a sudden without warning, and they kind of just frazzle you and you become just, you know, kind of afraid while you're with your child. For instance, to give you an example of what I mean, I was walking with Cynthia in one of the fields on the farm, and you know, these fields aren't even. It's not a nice even surface you can walk on. It's a field, and you know, there's lumps and ditches and grooves and things, so you kind of have to be careful of where you place your feet, because if you're not careful, and you could fall. And now Cynthia was wrapped onto me, and as I'm walking, I suddenly have this image popping up in my mind of me walking and putting my foot down in a not so great way, spraining my ankle, and both of us falling down and me falling on top of her. That's not a nice image to have pop in your mind when you're walking with your child and she's wrapped on you, because it's something that could actually happen. And for me, and I think that's really key about these types of flash fears with the image and the very real type of simulation of something that could actually happen. For me, especially with the spraining of the ankle, I actually sprain my ankles a lot during my life. So I know that my ankles are a weakness in my body, and I know that it's very possible for me to actually sprain my ankle and fall, and you know, that could totally happen. So I looked at that, because as the image popped up, I realized, oh crap, that can happen. I went into the fear, so I did immediately just react in fear to that possibility, to that image popping up in my mind. And now I was walking with her in the field, and I was totally uncomfortable. And what happens when you're uncomfortable, when you're afraid, it's like your whole body becomes like infused with this moving energy that kind of makes everything wobbly and unstable. It's like you're not as much inside your body as you were just a moment before the fear kicked in. It's like everything is wobbly. Your knees don't feel stable. Your ankles don't feel stable. You know, it's like, as I was walking, I realized if I continue with this fear moving inside my body, I might actually fall. I might actually create my fear just because I'm afraid. So I was like, okay, I really need a different way of dealing with these images that pop in my mind, and not go just kind of shooing them away, because, you know, if it was just the image and after that I was completely stable and nothing moved inside of me, then yeah, you can just shoot the image away. But that wasn't the case. I actually reacted in fear and went like, you know, at just having that image come up, I was like, oh shit, you know, that could happen, oh no. And when that happens, because initially I was like, well, maybe I can just ignore it and act like it didn't happen, but then I realized how my body was getting very unstable, because I actually did react in fear. So, okay, when I looked at this closer, I realized that the image that was coming up was really specific for me, because I do have a weakness in my ankles. So I realized, instead of reacting in fear to this image coming up, I can rather use it as a tool. Because what? My mind's gonna bring up the images that will bring up fear, that will cause inner conflict, because that's what your mind will do. That's how your mind works. But I don't have to accept that, you know. My mind will use especially those images where I have a weakness around it to get me to react in fear. But I can decide to rather use that function of my mind, of bringing up those images that relate to a weakness of mine, to then rather see how can I become more aware of that weakness, and how can I work with that weakness constructively. So to use the example of me walking in the field with Cynthia, and the image coming up of me spraining my ankle and falling down, what I did instead was to say, okay, this image is showing me that I have a weakness when it comes to my ankles and spraining my ankles, and this field is it's not treacherous, but you know, you can't always see very well how the surface is and where the bumps are and where the little grooves are. So I have to pay extra attention. I just have to be extra aware. I have to actually move more into my body and ground myself more by really breathing and slowing myself down, so I can just be very deliberate in how I place my feet, where I place my feet. And now I am supporting myself, now I am strengthening myself to be able to do this walk with Cynthia wrapped on, even though I do have a weakness in my ankles, because I'm taking all those other steps to make sure that that weakness doesn't become a problem. You know, just creating all kinds of other supports all around it, so that this one weakness won't make the whole tower fall down. Me being the tower. So that's how I figured I can rather work with these images. And that's what I suggest you do as well, because I don't know about you, but that's one of the things that I've noticed happening a lot more once I became a parent, was just these flash images. What if this happens? What about that? This could go wrong. That could go wrong. And you just see your baby in all the weirdest scenarios and the most dangerous places and the most dangerous situations, but you know, it comes up. So instead of reacting to those images, rather look at, okay, what exactly can I learn from this about myself in terms of what weaknesses that I do have that could cause a situation like that to take place, and what can I practically do to support myself and support my baby or support my child to, you know, prevent something like that from happening. Alright, that was this video, a bit shorter than the other one, luckily. I hope you enjoyed, and that you can take something with you from these 2 videos I've done about how to work with your fears, to not try and ignore them, to not try to shove them away, and to not try and just jump despite them. You know, if they're there, they're there. Work with them, it's okay. Now you've got 2 tools you can use for those 2 different types of fears that are quite prominent in parenthood. I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope you'll use them as well. Okay, thanks. See you in the next video. Bye.